Highly successful individuals are always focused on what's next, but they often don't take time to reflect on their journey and how far they've come. I'm Craig Heatherly, host of the Path Less Travel podcast, where we dive into the journeys of extraordinary leaders. Their success rarely follows a straight path, and that's what makes their story so remarkable. Now let's dive into this week's episode after a brief message from our sponsors. A big thank you to Senior One Care for sponsoring today's episode. Founded in 2006 by Carl and Kyle Bossing, this family-owned business has provided compassionate in-home care for nearly 2 decades. If my family needed a caregiver, I'd call Kyle. With 6 Indiana locations, they give you the peace of mind while your loved ones receive the care they deserve. Learn more at senior1care.com. This episode is brought to you by Mosier Consulting, the powerhouse behind some of the most innovative technology solutions in northern Indiana. For 30 years, Mosier has been delivering best-in-class solutions. If you're a leader in your company, Mosier is your partner in progress. With deep expertise in analytics, AI, managed services, Microsoft, IT savings, and strategic consulting, they don't just support your tech, they elevate your entire business. Mosier Consulting, technology experts, real results. Visit MosierIT.com to learn more. Yeah, let's jump right in. Kelly Ball, the CEO of Pathfinders Advertising. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Very exciting to be here and chat with you.
Is it true that the class of 32 was the best ever?
That's a good, I think from the class standpoint, they would definitely articulate we were the best. I think from anyone who was administering that class, I do not think we would get that grade. I definitely would not have gotten that grade.
I saw the roster. Pretty impressive roster.
A very good roster. We brought it. We were good. They've done a lot of great things from that group of people. I was not expecting that to be the first thing brought up. That's really good. That's really good.
I saw it on my way over, actually, before I came over, and I said, you know what? This is a common statement. Let's see your thoughts on it. But I guess before we jump into everything else, what's something that people don't know about Kelly Ball?
Ooh, all right. I feel like I'm a very transparent person. So I think like what I'm thinking is most people know a lot of things about me, but I would say I'm a big nerd when it comes to books. And every summer I read the 7th Harry Potter book every summer. Now, I don't know if that makes me like, that's something that you should, that's something some of my age should not still be doing, but it's like a nice, relaxing, easy read. I try to read a lot. Since about 2 years ago, I thought we're spending way too much time on our phones. And so I wanted my kids to make sure that they see me reading and doing things. And I can't do it on a tablet. So I've been reading much more and more, but like every summer I make time to just have it's something I can pick up. I can start anywhere and I just enjoy it. So that's probably something most people don't know about me. And that felt like, that's what I would go with.
How long have you been doing this? How many summers in a row is this?
So I would say I started this probably 7 years ago. Okay. And I'd read it, I read it when it first came out. So it's been a while since it's been out, but it just was like, I think I was looking at something to pick up and I was like, oh, I think I'll read that. And then I read it and I was like, that was fun. And then, it just happened again and again. I feel like summertime is where if I'm in a rut, I'll pick up something else that I have not, I'll reread a book. And they're like not class. I'm looking for like escape, not like depth. So I have friends that'll pick up something that's, I'm reading Homer's, no, I'm reading like the fast read. Let's read Red Rising, or let's do something that is just fun and easy to do. And it's a good way to escape, and it's better than watching a show, in my opinion.
So fantasy. So why?
That's a great question. I don't know. I mean, I credit a lot to one of my coworkers here, Erica, who leads our operations team. She reads a ton, and she's always throwing me ideas of what to read and check out. And I would say that has led me to like getting more and more into different genres. Some win, some are like a little bit rougher around the edges. This is a pro tip. I went to ChatGPT in December because I was looking for new series to read. And I just finished a book and I was like, this is cool, but I need new things. And I talked about this is what I'm into, this is what I like, this is what I don't like. What do you have recommendations? And I got like a list of a dozen books that I ordered all of them. And I've made it through one series so far, and I've started the next group. And I didn't know anything about these authors because it's very intimidating. I find it intimidating to find something new that you're into without just going back to the same tropes of the people you already know. It was very effective. So I think I've read since the beginning of this year, I've read 5 books so far.
Wow.
And 4 out of the 5, I think I'm impressed with the recommendations. So thank you to all the people in the public libraries and other places and locally Better World Books who have helped train these models to be smart and help us know what to do.
Oh, that's great. So Pathfinders Advertising.
Yes. Yeah.
Midwest roots, national footprint. I guess tell us about, because when I walked in the doors of this space, and I can't stop thinking about how unique of an office space this is here in Mishawaka. Like, how would you not want to come and work in a place like this, in this type of environment? But yeah, tell the listeners, who are you guys and what do you do?
Yeah, well, I would say, so Pathfinder, I'll give a just really brief history. Pathfinder is a family-owned business. I am a lucky family member of the person who started it. My dad started this company 47 years ago, and very proud history of how we've grown through the years. I like to explain our business. We're in the business of goodwill. If we do well for somebody, that will over time compounds, and then that's led to us becoming a much larger institution than a guy who started a business in his house 47 years ago. But really what we do, marketing can be perceived as snake oil. Like, what is marketing? What actually do you do? And the best way to explain it for me is we help companies tell their story to the world. And that may be tell their story locally. That may be telling it regionally, nationally. That may be in different mediums, whether that's social media, video, print, whatever the medium. We need to be experts at how to communicate and how to package things and take the complex and give it to someone in a very simple way. And we've done that for a long time, and that's led to us. Our growth trajectory through the years has been one client works with us. They like working with us. They then move on to another company, and then they pick up the phone and say, hey, can you help with this? And then that happens time and time again. That goodwill compounds, and then you continue to grow and you continue to meet new people and do new things. And it's led us to really just where we are today, where I think we're a very sophisticated, capable agency. I would still think in this area, we're like a best kept secret, in my opinion. I'm not sure everyone who thinks of an agency is, Pathfinders is, some people do, absolutely. But we've morphed through the years. And at one point, I don't know how to verify this, but we were the largest agency in Indiana. And that's like weird coming out of South Bend, where you would think that would be in Indianapolis and other places. Sure. But, I think it's, by doing good work and focusing on taking care of the people across from you versus I want to work on this logo or this brand, because marketing is very vanity driven, that leads to people being like, hey, okay, yeah, they actually care about my problems. They just want to give me good input and advice. And then they can trust in your recommendations. Because a secret for everybody is that all of us marketers, we still do not know what works and does not work, because it is a combination of art and it's a combination of science. And we have all the data in the world to look at, but it's hard to decide, Craig, how did you actually make that decision to buy that tablet? Was it because you saw me have that tablet? Was it because you saw an ad? Is it because you searched it? There's lots of input that lead to your decision making. Yeah. And our job as marketers is to understand that journey and then figure out, hey, what's the best way to communicate in the simplest way possible? And because that's not a direct line and you can't always do attribution for those CMOs or people that are listening, there's possibilities to make attribution. It's just complex. It's not a perfect science. And if you can build trust and you can build understanding with your partners, then that leads to them trusting you and being like, yeah, okay, some things are going to work, some things aren't, but we know you're going to work hard at trying to get the outcomes we want.
So you mentioned telling the story is critical, and that's what you guys do. What are the ways in which you do that? What are the services? What are the types of things that you can provide for a company that's looking to have their story told?
Yeah. So I think when I think about how to figure that out, I think because marketing is subjective, outputs are a direct result of inputs you get from, if you do the right inputs, you can figure out the right outputs. And so the way you go about telling that story and figuring that out is that, first you got to get smart. You got to learn about what's happening. And that may be from the business, that may be from the competitive set, that may be from the buyers themselves. You got to get smart on what's going on in that space. What are all the things that are happening? What are the external factors, internal factors that are influencing this? And then from that, you got to figure out and you prioritize. Like, what are the things that we need to prioritize in order to move things forward? And we may need to prioritize video or social media, or we may need to do radio or TV. Like, then you start looking at tactics. Yep. We need to update our website. We need to do sales enablement things. Like, you set the priorities 100% based on what you've learned, based on the company, the target audience, and what the competitive environment is. And then once you've done that, you start making calculated guesses. You're like, all right, based on all this stuff and what our priorities are, we think we should do these things and we should do them in this order. Because I think similar to any business decision making and marketing, the idea is that, like, when you choose to do one thing, it's not really a choice to do that. It's a choice not to do something else, right? Because I don't know anyone that has infinite resources that gets to do whatever they like. So the better you can make good decisions on figuring out which are the right things to be doing, the more you can go to market, like, with a clear vision and focus, and then you can go execute with confidence. And so, your question about what is it that you do? Well, you can do anything. The way you answer your phone, how you show up and what you wear, how you train your people, how you talk to folks at call centers, to what's showing up in your mailbox or on TV or on your website or the emails you receive. Those are all things you can influence through. That's all communication.
Yeah.
And so, I'd say there's infinite things you could do. And as more more channels come out, social media, should we do short form video? Should we be doing like long form video? Should we be doing, text post? There's so many choices out there. And you just got to work through them and figure out what are the right ones. And one of the biggest mistakes companies make is that they want to tell their story, and your audience doesn't care. Like, they want to tell it from their perspective. You, and this is, I'm going to borrow, there's a guy named Donald Miller. He wrote a book called The Story Brand. It's a great book, really good, really helpful. But, like, you're not the hero as the business. You're not the hero 100%. So I don't really care what you want to tell them. Yep. Your customer's the hero and you are their guide. So if they're the hero and you're the guide, so how can you help them, guide them to the decision? And that changes, like, if you think about and frame up your communications in that way. And it's not easy to do. It can be hard to get out of that routine, but you can get into a spot where you're like, oh, okay. Yeah, is this me the hero language, or is this the customer the hero language? If it's me the hero language, let's ignore that and let's get reseated into the shoes. Put yourself in the shoes of the person across the table from you. That's always going to be a more successful way of selling and communicating. That's good in marriage. That's good in life. That's good in parenting. It's hard to do, but if you can get yourself to do it, it's a successful recipe. It's a repeatable formula that can take what feels something abstract and it makes it, like, tangible. It's like, oh yeah, I could execute that. That makes sense to me. So that's what's fun. That's what's fun about this business and what we get to do.
Yeah, I can feel it. I can feel it from you. There's not a lot of people around, but there's a lot of energy in this place right now. It's a great book. I'm happy you brought that up. For any listeners, go grab that, because that will change how you think about your business and how you think people think about your business. You said the words, what should we be doing as a company? That's what you help them figure out. And then you mentioned ChatGPT earlier and how it helped you kind of figure out what's best for you. And then you said AI.
Yeah.
How does all this play into your world? Looking for top talent in tech or professional fields? Avero Talent connects businesses with exceptional candidates, specializing in tailored recruiting solutions that match the right skills to your team's needs. Whether building a team or searching for a tough-to-fill position, Avero Talent delivers the expertise you need to hire smarter, faster, and with more confidence. Let us help you find your next star employee.
There's a term going around right now about being Claude-pilled. I don't know if you've heard it.
Not Claude-pilled, but I've heard.
Yeah, so I just saw an article the other day that, like, founders in Silicon Valley are like, they're all being Claude-pilled, where they're realizing, like, what can be done with AI. And they're like all just, like Matrix taking the blue pill or the red pill, like your whole world changes when you realize this. And so for our business specifically, I've gone through this journey of being quad pilled where I'm like, I'm intrigued, then I am terrified, then I am amazed. And I'm currently at a point where I'm like, I get it. I can start to see the future of what's going to happen as I think it's going to work. And I think it's going to be incredibly disruptive because it is going to allow all of us to be able to take some of the things that we were never able to do before, or we were doing minimally, and we're going to be able to do it at a level we never imagined we'd be able to get to. So that's one thing like I am super excited about of what the possibilities are. I think that there is when I say it's going to be disruptive, my wife jokes that ChatGPT is called Kelly GPT because I don't know if you're a heavy user of AI, they give you like a Spotify Wrapped report. My ChatGPT Wrapped report this year said I'm in like the top 1% of all users in the world or something. I don't know how, I don't think I'm doing that much with it, but like, it's very interesting. I use it as like a collaboration partner because the reality is, I'll credit Nick Berente, who's a professor at Notre Dame. He talked about this when I was getting my MBA when ChatGPT first launched. And when he talked about these AI tools, he said, the reality is what you have to realize is they are dumb tools. Without your input, they can't do anything. And when I think about this, that is so true. And I'm sure you see it now. If you get an email that has bolds a certain way, it has M dashes, it has descriptions in like groups of 3, it is so obviously AI generated that we as a group of business folks, we are going to become much more susceptible to being like, did you put any thought into this? Yeah. Or did you just copy and paste what came out? Because what copies and paste that came out is not as good as our original thought. So there's like this rule of thinking now, it's like the 10-80-10 rule, where it's 10% of the planning, the thinking, you use 80% to help collaborate and work together, and then you do the finishing 10%.
Right. Yeah.
And so when I've gone through my multiple stages of feeling about what AI is going to do, where I've gone from intrigued to terrified, the terrifying side was like, this is going to replace everything. What used to take us 30 hours to do, we're now going to be able to do it in 5 minutes. And, there's going to be all this price compression and no one's going to want to pay for things. But then as you use the tools more, you realize that no, it without the 10 in the 10, it will not generate good outcomes, but it has an infinite amount of knowledge that I don't have anyway. Mm-hmm. So if I want to think about, I did something today where we're doing some work just for ourselves. And I was asking a very specific question on, hey, I want to build a better conversion-based landing page. And what are the best practices? I've been doing this for years, but I'm not the world's leading expert on how to build best converting landing pages. I'm just not. I know a lot about it, but I'm not reading stuff about it. I'm not monitoring all the data in the world. I'm not writing articles about it. But for me to be able to say, this is what I'm thinking, these are what the challenges are, what would you do about this? And then to see outputs and collaborate with it, and then to spit out a wireframe that can help be given to the team, that is so helpful. It's not finished products, but it is so helpful. And so I think we all, in any type of like the thinking economy, we need to be prepared for what this is doing. And we need to start looking at our workflows and saying, how every stage in it, you say, how do I integrate AI into this? How can AI make this more efficient? How can AI make our world like this easier? So if I think about creative outputs, what it should be able to enable us to do is saying, we're going to do a new brand. There's a card design with the New York Yankees credit card up there. If we're going to do that, it'd be like, hey, can we help me? Here's some initial ideas. Can you help me quickly generate 30 concepts for what this could be based on this audience, what's happening, what's going on? And then you have a collaboration partner that's going to be able to produce that very quickly. Or I talk about my getting smart phase. Imagine if you could go and say, here's my brain of how I go and get smart. Let me go point you I have this new client coming in. Here's their different sets of what we need to do. Go do that manual research that I would have spent 2 weeks doing myself. I would have gone to those websites. I would have done these store visits. I would have done, and simplify that for yourself. So you can now be looking at that and then seeing through the noise to figuring out what should be next, as opposed to just gathering the thing. So again, I get excited about this stuff, but I think we have to embrace it. I personally, our company's probably just loving me right now because I was a ChatGPT person. I talk about getting Claude pilled because I have started to move towards Claude in December when the new version of Claude came out, and Claude Code. I mean, it's been out for a while, but Claude Code is like everything people are talking about right now. And Craig, it is absolutely mind-blowing what is able to be done with this. And the reality of that, every single one of us has the exact same access to the most sophisticated tool that has come out, and we can get it for $20 a month or $200 a month.
Yeah.
If you are an enterprise leader wondering, I don't know if we can afford this, you have a generational, like, nothing has come out like this. And it's $20 a month.
Yeah.
To have infinite knowledge to do things. Now, it doesn't mean it's useful if you don't know how to use, like, you got to work through it, but we have to embrace this because it's not going to replace, I just don't believe it's going to replace things the way, I know Jack Dorsey just announced that he's going to lay off half of his staff at Block because, AI is going to do it. Well, no one talks about the fact that he doubled his size over the pandemic. Like they may be an overscaled for the time. And so I just think we have to recognize what's happening and embrace it and learn it yourself. Like I'm not a developer. I'm not doing anything. I've built a couple apps. I started working with Claude Code 3 weeks ago, and I'm just trying to play with it so I can know how to lead it forward. And I was asked to do a financial analysis for the rest of the year based on what's happening with clients and other things. And I would normally do that. I would normally, go to my spreadsheets and look at things. And I just had this idea last Thursday of, I wonder if I could load all the data I've been collecting. I get like an email every week with a projection snapshot of the year that I've been getting for 5 years. I have all these disparate sources, and I'm like, I wonder if I can load this and create something. I ended up created this financial modeling tool that can project our revenue for the balance of the year based on all these snapshots that I have over the past 5 years. And I did it in 2020. I mean, my family thinks I'm crazy, but I did it in 25 hours. And on Sunday night at 9 p.m., I pressed like this button to generate a report. And it generated a report in our branding, in our styling of our sheets, because I fed it all the right information. And it analyzed the information as well as have I have a full interactive dashboard. If I tried to build that,
it'd be expensive.
It would take 2 years, and we wouldn't have built it as well.
Wow.
We have it's the best developer on the planet that I can just talk to it about, this is not working, and it doesn't get mad at me, and it goes figure out how to do it. So I think like all of us, it's an enablement. It should enable us to be great, but if you want to ask, well, how do you solve like entry-level jobs that will remove? I don't have the answers to that yet.
Yeah. I
just know from our world experience and what we have available to us, it's fascinating. It's fascinating. And in my industry, especially, it's going to be disruptive because I think a lot of the stuff there's a potential where it just risks a ton of downward pressure on pricing and other things. And we have to be prepared to adapt because it's not quite ready to totally just like I think we have about a 2-year window before it's going to be even more disruptive than it is now.
Wow.
Because I don't think anyone's figured it out. Like people are adapting, but we're got to figure it out because I don't know if we can get something done way faster. Why not? And then let's go. I talked to you about the list of we don't have infinite resources. Well, if this can enable a bunch of things, guess what? We've just increased our ability to tackle more of the things on our priority list in a way that we couldn't have done with just us burning time and energy against it. So I don't know. It's interesting. It's very interesting.
I was going to ask for a couple of examples of how this is really just blowing your mind, but you provided a few. So thank you. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah. Well, you don't even have to ask questions. You know, this is the one interview that you don't have to talk. You just get it. I don't know. We're probably going to be on time.
That's what I love about the podcast is I do 10% of the talking, if that. And, we're probably about 5 to 7% on this one.
Yeah.
I mean, the graphic that I sent to you for the event that I'm hosting in May, that was done through chat.
Yeah.
And that was done in a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
And it would have taken our team a long time to put that together. I'm like, this looks good.
Yeah. Yeah. So how I would look at it is I think like my description is like the lower end things, and that's probably an inappropriate descriptor, but like the things that, I'll just use lower end things like that's a great piece, but like that does not require hours and hours of time to spend on it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that part, if it can be outsourced to something like that, it's great.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. That then allows, someone else to be doing higher level thinking, because that is not a good use of time. And I think that's happened in a lot of places. This happened a lot in the like treasury management and accounting spaces, where if you're at a big company, you can spend tons of time on, payments exceptions and doing manual processes of doing things. And in about 5-6 years ago, a lot of companies came out with automated payables or automated receivables, where you build within your system, like the checks, the balances, and when the invoices come in or the payments need to go out, it's just, it flows through it, makes the decisions, and has that happen, where that used to be done by humans. And to be able to, it's a very laborious, and it's a low-level task. And so if we can move, and like the pitch for the companies who are implementing this were, hey, let's reallocate your team to doing higher level work. Now, I don't know if that's actually what they did, but that's the concept. If we can get that done some other way, there could be another use for someone's time, talent, treasure to be doing something else.
Right.
And I think that's where I kind of see this, is how do you look at that? And I mean, I'm going to be in Las Vegas next month presenting at the Financial Brand Forum. And like the Financial Brand Forum is this event where it's marketers that are at financial institutions come annually, and there's a couple thousand people that are there. And I'm going to do a breakout session. And I was thinking the other day, like as being there, I'm like, I don't know, what should I wear? Like, I'm going to be on stage. Like, it's not, I don't know. Do I just wear what I'm normally wearing? I was thinking about this. And of course, my wife has ideas. And I'm like, everything I've ever worn, people think I have style. I have no style. It's all my wife has helped me through the years. But so I'm asking her, and that's not what I want to, I don't want to look like a finance bro, or I want to, I'm at an agency, but I can't be super casual. What should I be? And I'm just chatting with, ChatGPT and giving outfit inspiration. And I was like, no, I don't like that. What's that? Maybe I should have called this. I don't have a stylist. Like, I don't have a guy I'm used to. So like, that was a much easier way for me to ideate and think about it. And there's just lots of possibilities if you think of this as a partner. Now, there's also a ton of risk, and there's also a ton of ethical concerns and a lot of problems, like with this. So I'm certainly presenting only one side of this. And I'm sure listeners are probably like, oh my gosh, this guy's crazy. But yeah, no, there's flip sides to it. But I don't know. Once the cat's out of the bag, I don't know how you put it back in.
Yeah. It's a great point. Well, the title of the podcast is The Path Less Traveled. And you lead a team here, and you've been a leader for probably a good portion of your life through various different avenues. How do you relate to that title and just your journey?
Yeah, I think of the path and Pathfinders, and there's kind of a fun connection between your podcast and just even like our ethos and what we're doing. And I don't know, I had a couple things on this of most marketing agencies are like named after their founders. And I think that the fact that we are not, like, we're just Pathfinders, and like, it's all about you, right? The client. It's like, how do we find your path? It has nothing to do with us. We're not the hero. Yeah. We're here to help you find your path.
Yeah.
And I think as you think about paths and travel, I think I've always come in, I've had the privilege of being part of a family business. When I think about this, I am so proud of my dad, of the fact that he had me come in here and he was never my boss in my whole career. And like, I'm proud of him. And then my mentor and leader throughout my career has been Vicki Holland, who was our president for many years. Those in the community, Vicki is just the greatest human in the world. And to have been able to be led by her and mentored by her and learn from her, and to have this really interesting dynamic where I had, I'm part of something my dad started. So like, I already have part of my heart and culture with this place naturally, but then to have not that family dynamic where there's like an overlord of, staying over you or meddling. Like I think a lot of founders, like they still are super involved, but my dad was like, I want you to have your own path. I want you to learn from this, and I'm going to be hands off and to be able to learn from Vicki. I mean, I think that's been a pretty cool story. And one of the things I always wanted to do is I feel like I operated with a chip on my shoulder of I do not want to be known as the owner's kid. I want people to know that like I have my own thinking and abilities, and everything I do here is earned. And that's been a fun thing for me to operate that way, which it helps. Hey, I need to do this extra. I need to make sure this happens. And I definitely have gotten, I'm the owner's kid. You can't skirt away from that. But I do think that has been something that has always kept me grounded and focused on what I was doing. And I, even till recently, have come into my own of like actually embracing that. I think I was always shy about like, I work at it's a family owned business. And I don't know if you've met Daniel Ladig, but Daniel Ladig from Ladig Industries here in town, he is also in a family-owned business. He's a third-generation business owner. And I just was always so the way he talks about, there's no chip on it. It's like, I'm part of a family business, and I'm so lucky to have been part of that. Yeah, right. And that's just helped me realize, like, what have I been worrying about? Like, I should lean into that more. So,
because there's not many around that pass from generation to generation.
Well, and I think that's where you hear the stories about when it passes from generation to generation of sometimes, I use this word a lot here of when you get a copy of a copy, the fidelity is a little bit worse. And then you get a copy of a copy of a copy, it gets worse and worse over time. So I think I've operated on, I do not want the fidelity of what was there before to be worse because of me. Like I'm not, I'm like the second hand version. And so by being allowed to take my own path, that's allowed me to be something different. Like I was given the freedom to explore different things and do, I've seen a few different generational shifts in my career. I'm not that old, but been here for 22 years now, in my mid 40s now. And, the first shift happened where in the early 2000s, late 2000s, people didn't have websites. There were businesses that did not have websites. And there were a lot of agencies that were like traditional agencies that were producing stuff for print. And then they were putting brochures on the web. And then there were digital agencies that were good at making web experiences, but they didn't really know how to tell the stories. And that was like the first thing of this is happening. We have to adapt. We have to adjust. And having the leeway of being able to build the teams and get organized around that and allow us to grow our own skills and mindsets and doing things that's just been a really fun thing that's happened with social media as well. Social media did not exist when I started in this career. Social media wasn't a thing, and brands didn't really have a thing. And now here I am 20 some years later, and I teach a class on social media at Notre Dame. So it's a very interesting journey of how things have transpired and been brought together.
Success changes the game. Your business is growing. New opportunities, ambitious goals, greater impact. But growth brings complexity. More people to lead, more moving parts, less time and space to think and connect. And when leaders feel that strain, teams do too. At Cressy Leadership, we help leaders navigate those challenges. Through individual coaching, group training, and our Leadership Academy, we build the skills and strengthen the connections that make growth sustainable, helping teams communicate openly, tackle challenges together, and stay aligned on what matters most. Cressy Leadership. Envision what's possible.
Well, there's two things I want to talk about after just hearing that what you just said there. The first thing is you've moved into this role, this new CEO role. What? It's been a couple of years.
Yeah, it's been about 3 years. Yeah.
Now that you're 3 years in, I mean, what are some things that you learned as you moved into that role that you didn't anticipate, or that you just had to kind of just work through, that maybe you can advise the next person in that situation? I guess, what was that experience like?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it's been 3 years, and Vicky and I had worked on succession planning, and actually we had planned on doing something, and I'll give credit to getting my MBA and doing the Notre Dame program, where I wanted to take advantage of all the things they had there, and they had a career coach. And I was like, do I need a career coach? I work in a family business. What do I need career coaching for? But I was like, let me talk to this person. Let me talk to them, and had a few conversations with them. And over time, as you talked about, I was like, I actually think, given all the things that are happening externally, what's all happening with the changes in the company, this may be a better time to accelerate some of these succession planning. And, again, credit to Vicky of sitting down. We're talking about, she's, I think it's the right time to do it as well. Let's go do that, and let's make this transition. And that was still COVID era, where we had changed from being an all in-person company to being half in-person, half remote. And we were about to have our first annual summit meeting, where we bring our whole company in for a week, and it's kind of a rallying week together to make sure that it's great to see you on a screen, but it's very different to see you in person and interact with you, to make sure our relationships are strong, because so much is important on our collaboration and working together. And as we went into these sessions, I think there's nothing I enjoy more than like the storytelling. If I think about my working genius, Patrick Lencioni's Working Genius, a book that I think is so fantastic to understand who you are and what motivates you. But one of my geniuses is galvanizing. I love to get people rallied around an idea. So bringing everyone in for an event, very fun for me to manufacture the storytelling and what you're going to share, and try to get them to really understand complex concepts in an easy to understand way. And at this first meeting, I think I did a really nice, I told a story, and I think it resonated with people. But what I didn't realize is one of my leadership principles, and what I believe success for us is, there's 3 components. It takes vision. You need to have a clear vision of where you're going, why you're there, what is it we're trying to do. It takes alignment. You need people to buy into that. They have to be aligned to that vision. And the third element for me is you need initiative. You need each individual person to feel compelled and to be empowered to take the initiative to help bring the vision to life. And those are that's this formula that I shared in this very first summit of, this is where our path forward is as a company. And that is literally, if you go to my slide, it said the path forward. So I'll send those to you. That'll be good. But because we were at this precipice of, we were a company of all these people who were here pre-COVID. And then we have all these people that joined us after COVID, which was a very different thing. And we needed to get a path forward together. And, it's a great rallying cry, very exciting. And, then 6 months later, it's, is it taking hold? I don't know. You're kind of giving the same message. We were doing 2 summits a year at that point. And then you go another 6 months later, and I'm telling the same thing, but I'm not seeing change. Something is broken here. I think the message is still right. And then as you do some self-reflection and you look at things, I don't actually think I've told them what the vision is. It's great to say what the vision is. And I talked about it. Oh, it's this, it's that. But it was not clear. It was not easy to understand. And so you'd have an analogy. I love analogies, but one of the ones I use is, if you ever watch TV and you see the audio and the video are not in sync, it's super disorienting. So if the audio is paused by half a second even, or a second, you're it's almost unwatchable.
Sure.
And so what I would talk about is, I think what's been happening here is our audio and our video is not synced up. We're telling this, but if I come in and I believe you're X, but you're really Y, there's misalignment. How can you be aligned if I don't really understand the vision clearly? there's lots of room for interpretation to be aligned with it. So, just this past year, we're almost a year into fully implementing an operating system, and we've implemented EOS. My Vistage crew members, they make jokes at meetings because you think I'm passionate about AI, like they're think I'm passionate about EOS. Like, oh, you didn't say EOS this month. Good for you. And I'm trying my best because honestly, it does not matter what operating system you use. Like, just use one because it allows everyone to get on the same page,
absolutely,
in the same language and doing things. And I think when I'd been wanting to do this for years before I was in this seat, and I tried to do it on my own with the team, but I didn't really know what I was doing. I read some of the books, but I kind of was like, this is weird. Like, this language is weird. What's an accountability chart? And like, what's an L10 meeting? That's so cheesy to go to a meeting and like rate it. And it felt weird to me. And I finally, as I went through this journey of this isn't working, and it's not, I just don't think I don't have the tools to do this. And I'm reading books, but I just need tools. And implementing this has been the best decision I've ever made.
Wow.
And I would say the leadership team here would absolutely say the same thing. They're like, this has just made things so much easier. And I'm someone who naturally makes things complex. Like, I want to design the perfect solution. And so I think part of the reason when I read the books on EOS, I was like, this isn't complicated. This is it's so simple. There's no way this thing works. Yeah. And like, it has changed my way of even, instead of me writing a 5-page overview of all the ways we're going to do something, it's like, now it's going to be 1 page. I'm going to simplify this, and I'm not going to spend 3 weeks doing it. We're going to get this done, in 2 hours. We're going to get it done. And it's going to be, it's just simplified my world. And I think, back to your original question of what are some of those things you've learned and done things, is, man, giving people a good vision that you can be aligned with so that they can take an initiative. The formula is right. I still believe the formula is right. But you have to have the tools to get everyone around that vision in the repetitive nature of it. I think I read something I'm reading. Sometimes I'll read business books too. It's not just fantasy stuff, but I was reading a business book, and I was taking a note, and I pulled up, this was this morning, I pulled up my phone to where I sometimes jot my notes down in, and there was a quote I would rather have someone read one page 100 times than have them read 100 pages once. Yeah. And I was like, that is so true. Like, in today's, the old adage in marketing is you have to get a message in front of someone 5 to 7 times before they react. And now it's, how you get something in front of someone 34 to 40 times before they resonate. And so keeping it simple is just so important. And if you can keep it simple, people can connect with it, because otherwise they're like, what? This is something new? What? We have to learn something else now? And it gets old to us way sooner than it gets old to somebody else. And that's true in your marketing. Like, you probably don't need to update it as much as you think you do. And that's true in your leadership messages, for sure.
Well, I'm in love with EOS too. Yeah. Not to the level that you're in love with it, but I love it as well. I mean, I remember when I came to Gibson, it's a part of our culture, right? It allows us to have the same language and to be on the same cadence, and then also not have to look back 12 months, but look back 3 months and say, how did we do? And then what do we do for the next 3 months, and then the next, so it's great check-ins, and it's actually allowed me or encouraged me to do some quarterly retreats, personal retreats. So I do that on a quarterly basis, and it's been a game changer for me to be able to identify like what's worked well and not worked well in the last 30 days or the last 90 days, and do I have to course correct?
Right.
And that's in all areas of my life.
Yeah.
So it's a great system. But you're right, just get a system.
Yeah, a system. Yes, for sure.
Well, last question I've got for you here. You're a young guy. You said mid-40s. What's some advice that you give to a young leader that maybe you give, maybe not specifically in the class that you teach at Notre Dame with social media, but what would you give to a young leader that's aspiring to achieve and conquer and accomplish and set the world on fire?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I went back, and just the other week I was asked to come back, and I was a surprise speaker to the class the class is still, there's a cohort of kids coming through this program, and I was asked to come back the other week and give them a presentation on like how to wow a client. And if I do a lecture, I borrowed some things our team has done, and I'd like to give some of the psychology behind it, and then some of the execution things. And then at the end, I try to give them some universal truths that I think anybody can do. And, one of the things that I think about is, if you can listen well and really listen, like they're in today's world, there's often like I just want to answer quickly. I mean, we have so much access to everything right now. We can demand, that just demands our attention. It's, hey, sometimes just sitting down, take good notes, and sometimes that means write them down, like use a pen, if you don't want to do it, on a pencil and paper, get a digital notepad and take some notes down, because you'll retain it in a different way than just typing. I think that may be an old way of thinking, but if I'm a young leader, I'm like, listen well first. You have to listen, because even that framework I talked about earlier of getting smart, setting priorities, like I think that's a universal principle. So if you're meeting with somebody and you're understanding like what it is, what are they challenged with? What's happening? That's definitely a thing. Be a good listener first. That is more important than being a great presenter or being like, just out there. Listen first.
Yeah. And I always encourage people, just hang on the every last word of that sentence. Just listen to all of it.
Yes. You don't have to jump in all the time. I'm somebody who wants to, especially in internal team meetings, I'm like ready to talk, and I often have to tell myself like, just chill out, dude. And then I think listening is great. I also think there's no excuse for poor preparation today. So if you're going to go into a meeting, or you're going to talk about an industry or a vertical, like there's literally no excuse for you not to do a little bit of research and understanding. In our world, it'd be like, if I'm going to talk to a client that has product selling in retail, did you go to a store? Did you see it ahead of time? Go do that. You can show up and you'll be so much smarter than something else. There's little things make a huge difference. And I think sometimes people think the grand gestures are what win people. I think it's the little things that win people.
Right.
When you send someone an email and even if you don't have the answer, you respond to it and say, hey, Craig, I got your email. I do not have an answer on this right now, but I will get something back to you next week. Like that is a major difference. Oh, that's like a little thing, but that plants a seed in that person's mind, as opposed to you get the email and then I don't have an answer. I'm going to wait 48 hours to respond. And then you're sitting there. Did they get that? Did it go into spam? What happened? Like all the things that happen. And so the little things that you do can make a very big impact, and you need to realize that. And so I think little things win and make you more noticeable, and also they make you irreplaceable. Your goal should be, how can I become irreplaceable?
Right.
And the way you become irreplaceable isn't to be the smartest thing alive. We have other things now that are coming out that are going to be smarter than we can ever imagine, because you can't be the smartest person, but you can be thoughtful. You can listen well. You can predict well. You can anticipate. And that's who people want to surround themselves with. When they look, I also love to tell people, I want you to think about something where you look to your left and you look to your right and you think, what would I do if I couldn't ask anybody else? Come with a point of view, because once again, you have no excuse to do things. You could do some research on your own. Hey, this is this problem. How would I workshop it? What would I do with this if I had to solve it? And if you show up to a peer, or you show up to a boss, or you show up to somebody else and you've done some of that of, hey, I don't have all the context, but this is what came across my desk. This is how I processed it. And here's how I thought about it. And here's kind of some options I was weighing. I think this one would be best. What do you think? That's going to be much better than, hey, here's my problem. What do I do?
Yeah.
And then they have to carry the monkey and do all this stuff. So I didn't keep that simple. If I would have to keep that simpler if I was giving a keynote talk, but that would be my off-the-cuff answer to what I would give young people.
No, I like it. Shane Parrish has a podcast, and I forget the book that he wrote. I think it could be Clear Thinking, but he's written a couple books. But on the podcast, it was recently, he had mentioned that, or the guest had said, if you respond quicker, you can say less. But if it takes you a long time to respond, you have to respond with more. So just respond quickly. Got it, received, on it. I'll be back in touch. And then you have a little bit more leeway. You don't have to answer as
all this
extensive.
Stuff. Yeah, that's great.
Well, give us your final thoughts. Wrap us up, and it could be anything here about the agency, about teaching, about leadership. I don't know. Whatever you want to talk about. The floor is it's been yours. It's still going to be yours.
Okay, this is a dangerous thing to give me the floor and just go with whatever. I will stay in my lane, and I will give some marketing. I'll give some marketing thoughts. How's that? Because I'm sure there's plenty of people that are thinking about marketing and doing different things. Back to what I was saying earlier, like even when you're doing your own self-promotion, remember, you are not the hero, right? If you think about people who are successful on platforms, if you think of influencers today, some influencers make themselves it can feel like it's all about them, but the ones who are really good, like they understand their audience. And actually I have stuff written on my board because it's part of my presentation next week. So these are all based, there's a book over there by Robert Cialdini about influence. And he's the foremost expert on how people are influenced to make decisions. And he wrote that book in like the 80s and it's been republished multiple times. But the psychology of influence is simple. There's 7 things that drive influence. And when you think about marketing, it's all about influence. And it's all about, do I trust this person? Are they credible? Do they look like me? Is there something in exchange that I can get from them? The principles are simple. So if you can remember, you're not the hero, you're the guide. And you can understand that decision makers, they're normal people. They're just like you. Now, they may not process things the same way. Like I try to talk about to classes or whatnot. If you and I pull up our social media feeds right now, they will be totally different. They'll be completely different because we are unique. We will be influenced different ways. We'll make decisions different ways. But if you can simplify all of that and say, but in general, we are both humans and we have thousands of years of, or tens of thousands of years of different ways in which we've evolved and come to being that we make decisions in similar ways. And if you can understand that, you can then say, all right, what are the ways that make the most sense for our type of product or our type of buyer? And what are they doing? And it can start to simplify the complex. I'm not sure I did a good job of simplifying that here, but I would say the formula for marketing, again, and influence and other things it's not overly complicated. If you can get smart and you can remember that you are not the hero, your customer is the hero. That's one of the best things you can remember to do it well, because so many people want to talk at someone and it's I want to pull up alongside somebody and I'm guiding them. This is not the way to market this way. The way you market is I'd be sitting right next to you and let's go through it together and let me help you.
Well, I like asking the question and we didn't talk about it here, but what is your leadership style? But how would you like it to be received versus how is it received, or what is your style? Do you have the emotional intelligence to understand how people actually are? So what are receiving? So what are your blind spots? Do we know what our blind spots are? How do you identify the blind spots? It's a fascinating topic, but to your point, it's not about you.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's not. It 100% isn't. And I think that's something people talk about with people who have high emotional intelligence. They do mirroring, they switch. Like you read negotiation about how you do things. It is so important it's not about you, right? So I need to reflect what else is in the room and how things are working. And it's a skill that can absolutely be learned.
Absolutely.
It is not nature that you're born. I think you learn it and you work with it and you make mistakes and then you understand it. And then if you care about it, you can absolutely learn how to do that.
And then people, gosh, I just like that guy. I like that girl. I just like being around them. I don't know what it is.
Yes. Yeah.
They're interesting and they're interested in me.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. 100%.
Well, thanks for doing this. This is fun.
That's fun. Well, thank you. Hopefully this was enjoyable. This is unfiltered Kelly.
That was the design of this podcast when I first started doing it. It was like, let's dig into the human being, the person leading the organization, the company. We can talk about the company for days, but let's dig into the leader. That's how can we let employees of yours and peers of yours get to know the person.
Yeah.
So we're able to do that.
Yeah,
so thank you for doing this.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, that's it for this week's episode of the Path Less Travel podcast with the CEO of Pathfinders Advertising, Kelly Ball. Until next week, have a great day.